All right, we are now live. This one is not planned. I'm home and back from vacation. I've been working on client stuff since about 5 a.m. And quite frankly, I'm a little burned out on doing client stuff for the past 5.5 hours. So now that I've got most of my client work caught up, I don't have all of it, most of it's caught up. I thought I would jump in and do a quick live stream. So I'm going to do one earlier today, then get back to doing client work and get caught up. But for the people who tune in later afterwards, please remember to follow my Instagram down below, join my Orc Army. And if you want to donate to the channel but can't afford to, you can always use my Amazon affiliate link. If you click on it, anything you buy in the next 12 hours, I'll get a commission on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started as people trickle in. Since this wasn't announced, it may fill up a little slow, only a couple of people so far. And like I said, this is really a one off. I don't know how long I'm going to stay in here. I just felt like I needed a break from my client work. Right. And I'm really looking forward to getting back under the barbell again tomorrow. My deload week, I literally did nothing but some light kettlebell work. I just did pretty much some goblet squats and floor presses with kettlebells when I was on vacation. But over time, I'm going to have to do more of that because if I'm going to compete 4 times a year, can't afford as many of those deloads. And I've always remind people are like, why do you deload that often? It's for personal reasons. I think most people have figured it out at this point. I go on vacation on my deload weeks. So that's why you don't see new videos or anything come up because I'm on vacation. So I do that like 8 times a year. But some of that's going to need to change in the future as I resort some of my personal life a little bit. All right. We've got 6 people in here now watching. Got 3 likes. Filling up a little slow. It'll fill up quicker. So how are you guys doing? Anybody got questions? So some of the people haven't been able to ask questions. You have to be subscribed for 5 minutes before you can post, which has been very successful in growing my subscriber base. Been pretty successful there because it makes people subscribe if they want to post in here. And it's actually been relatively free of trolls. I've only banned 3 trolls in all these live streams so far. But like I said already, I want to do about average 5 of these a week for now. Little bit of channel update. The client vlogs are about to pick up. Jax is coming back. He restarted today. So he's going to have vlogs. 2 of my other clients, including Robbie, who's been a long term and he has his own channel. Robbie wants to start vlogging, doing the vlogs for real. It's one of my hard gainers who we put 40 pounds on over about 2 years. He's deadlifting close to 500 pounds, squatting about 400 ish. He was like a 180 pound, 190 pound squatter when we started. And now, he hits those sort of numbers and he can knock out 10 to 12 pull ups. So he's still after 40 pounds of weight gain, he is actually still not fat. I mean, he doesn't have abs, but he's got a flat stomach and no love handles. He does a lot of shirtless training. Hi, Everdy. Yeah, good to have you in here early. And like I said, I'm doing this a little early because I'm burned out on doing client work for 5 hours straight without a break. I've been doing spreadsheets. How do you learn to talk without pauses or ums? That's a good question. I took public speaking when I was in college, and I ended up making an A in the class. And my very first speech, I was shaking and almost crying, like almost tears rolling down my face, like the paper shaking in my hand and everything, like I thought I was going to die. By the end of the class, I made A pluses on my last 3 speeches. So I took to that class really well. And that helped a lot. Plus, keeping in mind over the course of time, over the several channels, this is not my first channel. I have done over 7,000 videos. I've done over 7,000 videos. I am very comfortable in front of a camera. So let's go back over these other questions. Advice for longer limb lifters for increasing bench press, best variations. You're going to have to get stacked. We have to accept those things. I'm a longer arm bencher. I've had a bigger bench in the past and I was bigger. Sheer muscle mass. Your leverages are working against you with longer arms. All you can do is find the grip widths that allow you to not hurt your shoulders, and you're going to have to just stack muscle on your pecs and triceps, all right? Because sheer muscle mass is the only way to get your bench up when you have long arms, because you're at a leverage disadvantage, right? You don't have the leverage advantage other people do. But by that same token, you have a better deadlift because you have a leverage advantage there. So, grass is always greener on the other side. All right. Do I stop running your ice cream fitness after reaching a 220 bench, 315 squat, 4-5 deadlift, and so on and so forth? Probably so, man. I mean, if you're reaching those sort of numbers on it, and it turns out most people didn't, now that I looked at it later, I saw a lot of people who did early on, 8-9 years ago who were running it, but that was sample bias, right? It was sample bias causing me to believe that. The people who kept year-long logs tended to be the ones who were successful. So if you're reaching those sort of numbers, it's time to move on to some intermediate stuff. Stuff similar to what you see me doing now, or what I have guys like Isaac and Brett doing in their vlogs. Or you could run 5-3-1, or if you have the equipment, you can run conjugate. But if you don't have some specialty bars and at least bands, I don't recommend that. Hi, Jason. I've had shoulder pain while bench pressing. It took 10 days off benching, but it still persists. What should I do? Ideally, I don't want to stop benching as I enjoy it. Probably overuse, probably weak upper back. Stuff you need to work on. Learn to get tighter, arch better. Learn to pull those scapula back, figure out what's going on. Like if I can't see your bench form and I don't know if you're having overuse issues, I can't fully tell what's going on. This is stuff I fix with clients a lot that we have to deal with. And like for me, I'm benching pain-free these days, even with a wide grip. But it took me a while to get there after having my own shoulder issues. So without seeing what's going on, I can't tell you for sure, but it's possibly weak upper back. Possibly you're not getting tight enough. You're not arching enough. You're too flat back. Don't have the scapula retracted, and it could be overuse. Isn't 50% still too low for 5x10, even if we consider fatigue and reps in reserve? Since normally I can do 20 plus reps with it. What about effective reps? No, Marco, it's not too low. Marco, I have lifters who can't even do it. Okay. My lifters who do not have good conditioning, if I give them on some of these lifts 5x10 at 50% after their heavy work, they can't even finish all 50 reps. So what do you mean it's too light? Have you tried it? Have you taken a deadlift or a squat and done the peak sets within 1 rep of failure with the other percentages, and then done the 5x10 back off at 50%? Have you tried it personally? The answer is no. You're going to be in for one hell of a surprise when you do. You might get into it and get to the 5th set and fail on rep 6. You might literally get stapled because the fatigue is that big. And keeping in mind, I've done videos on this. There, you've already attenuated the upper threshold fibers. There's a difference between doing it fresh versus doing it after doing heavy work. It is not comparable. We have to stop looking at parts of our training in isolation, and you have to look at what the entire workout looks like when looking at fatigue, effective reps. Even recovery, we have to look at what your whole training week looks like. You have to look at what your whole training block looks like. You never look at a single component of your training in isolation. You always have to look at it in the context of the totality of the stimulus and fatigue. That individual set you did is not relevant outside of that context. Do you use the valsa technique between every rep on deads and squats, even on your lighter sets? No, you needed full breath every rep. Take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Quality reps. Hey, coach, have you or any of your clients deal with I can't even say that word. Having it flare up when I ramp up squats? No, I have not specifically dealt with that. But if it comes up with a client, something like that, we look at what hurts. We find which ways we can move around it, find what we can do to allow things to heal from overuse and inflammation while we still train. I've got to look at the individual thing going on. I deal with a lot of problems with people with SI joint pain. Robbie, Charles, we had Charles squatting over 500 pounds with major SI joint problems at 175 body weight. And I've put up videos of him doing that before. But we had to be very, very careful. Jason, thoughts on evolving rep ranges? You might as well have asked me, does a choo-choo train eat ice cream after midnight in the dark? Evolving. I was not aware that rep ranges had genes. I was unaware that they were subject to mutation. What the fuck are you talking about? Please re-ask your question in English. I don't know what that means. Since you've never heard me say that phrase on my channel and no top strength coach talks about it, it obviously is something either you made up or some YouTuber you follow made up. In fact, I bet you I know which fucktard made it up. Probably Megan. Right? Because that guy says some fucktarded shit and's been doing it for 10 years and just makes up crazy ass names for things that he makes up. So I bet you that's one of Megan's things. I would bet a dime to a donut hole. There, I sound very Texan. Paul says, I don't see is oblique training. Probably not. Some people maybe. Do you still think floor press is a good chest builder? Yes. Jason, DS9 or TNG? Hack fraud, bro. Does a choo-choo train eat ice cream after midnight in the dark on the 7th day of October? Please ask me questions in English. Guys, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking. I love you guys, but you guys ask me questions that I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Coach, on a 5-3-1 3-day split, what day could you put good mornings? Thanks. Either squat or deadlift day, depending on what's going on. What's your favorite video game right now? And do you play Overwatch by chance? I've never played Overwatch. Right now, I don't have any favorites. Like I said, in a previous one of these, I bought an Xbox Series X, and I paid scalper prices for it because I really, really wanted one. Paid over $700 for it. And I haven't played it in several weeks. When I get free time away from work and stuff to where I'm actually home, I'll probably get Elden Rings, but right now I don't have time. I was asking you about Deep Space Nine versus Star Trek: The Next Generation. Quite frankly, I didn't think either one were amazing. I guess TNG was probably better. TNG is probably better. I'm not a big fan of either. I prefer the original Star Trek, and the others were okay, but it's just not my gig. Can you refund your trap bar? I bought my trap bar 4 years ago. No, it doesn't work that way. And it's not worth the trouble of selling it because, like I said, there'll probably be trolls. They'll see it come up or something if I put it for sale and try to show up at my house. And then I'd have to shoot one of them and get on the news. But I'm probably going to throw it in the dumpster eventually. I'm probably just going to throw it away. Evolving rep ranges is made up term by some other YouTuber who hates on you, by the way, but he's not vegan. It basically means doing different reps on each set, for example. Yeah, no, I don't believe in that. I don't see the point. Does anyone ever see me do that for myself or my clients? And there's your answer. Coach, how much weight is it safe to lose per week when you want to retain as much muscle as possible? That's going to depend on how lean you are. The studies I've seen show, or the data I've seen from years and years ago, and I don't know how true it is based on modern data, was something like 29 calories per pound of body fat per day. How long do your workouts usually take? However long they take. I set aside 3 hours to do them, but they usually don't take that. That's what I schedule in my morning. And usually it depends on how long I want to wait between my heavy work and my pump work, honestly. Or if I want to run an errand in the middle of my workout. I sometimes go grocery shopping and then come back and finish my last 2 exercises. I do that sort of stuff. So, I mean, anywhere from an hour and a half if I just follow them all the way through, up to 3 hours if I space stuff out and don't really care. Jason, I overhead press 65 kg and bench 90 kg. Is this an imbalance? I have decent arms and delts, but a lagging chest. So I've started new floor press and dips. Do you think will help with a lagging chest? Those can definitely help. I don't know that your ratios are off. It's just what your ratio is. There is no exact ratio on overhead press to bench. People need to lose that idea. If anything, longer arm guys tend to just be better at overhead press than benching. Shorter arm guys, it tends to be, way more skewed. But if you want to build your chest up, just do more chest work up to, the limits of your effective volume. Those are decent movements. Again, if they're done correctly. But floor press may not be the best chest builder. If you're a longer arm guy who doesn't have a thick torso, it may not be the best chest builder. Guys like Mikey, it is. You guys remember in his vlog, but he can touch his chest. In your case, if you have a thinner torso, you may want to focus on dumbbell work. I like decline work for some of my guys also who have lagging chests. I like floor press for lagging chests for really thick guys. Hey, coach, if a formerly advanced lifter has completely trained for 3 years, should they run a novice program for a short period of time when they start back up? Only novices should run a novice program. No. Why would you run a novice program? Go straight to an intermediate program and use the progression that you rebuild muscle at. I'm going to make this clear. No person should ever run a novice program more than once in their entire life, ever. So always remember that. You're not a novice. There are permanent changes to your muscle tissue if you've been an advanced lifter that stay for the rest of your life. You will never be a novice again. Don't run a novice program. Blaha, I have really small hands and a small skeletal frame. Does that put a dramatic limit on how much size and strength I can naturally develop? You mean like me? Look at my little tiny wrists. Look at my ankles. No, doesn't matter. Did you watch the Thor at Eddie Hall last night? For an Englishman, I was disappointed at it. No, I'm not interested in watching because let's be honest. Let's be honest here. This is nothing but a publicity stunt for money. If I wanted to watch people box, I'm going to watch real boxers box. If I want to watch people deadlift, I'm going to watch Thor at Eddie Hall. They're not boxers. This is nothing but a money grab. Just a money grab, hyped up publicity, and I'm not that excited about it. To be fair, to each their own. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it, but it's not really boxing. If you want to watch boxers, go watch boxers. Hey, Jason, what is your body type? Those body types don't exist. Those aren't real. They've been debunked. Hey, Jason Blaha, did Robert jogging every day is good? I'm not sure what you're asking. Thoughts on pyramid sets as in starting light and working up? I'm not a fan. No, my condo's not done. They're going to do some other stuff next week. I had a lot of stuff done, though. I got things painted. I got a new garbage disposal because mine was broke. But I'm getting new doors and windows and locks on all of it and new bars and everything this weekend. Do you think people should become capable of writing their own programs after accumulating enough lifting experience? Yeah, after about 10 years. I don't think anyone with less than 10 years of experience should be writing programs for anybody, let alone themselves. The Wanderer, thank you for the donation. Oh, hey, Paul, by the way, bro, I notice you keep donating in here. You're one of my clients. You already have my PayPal. They take a 25% cut of the donations. So technically, I don't get all of it. So any of my clients, when you guys donate, if you just feel like donating, just keep in mind, I actually don't get all of it. Weird, I'm 6'1" with a 6'8" wingspan, but I'm better at bench because I have a huge chest and triceps. Well, Juggernaut, if you go back and look at what I said earlier in this same blog, that's how longer arm guys have to get a big bench. How do you handle people hassling you at the gym about deadlift noise? I wouldn't know. No one has ever hassled me about deadlift noise in my entire life. I think that's an internet thing. That's something I've only heard of on the internet. I've never seen it happen in the real world. You could politely tell them to go fuck themselves and then go tell gym management that they're harassing you. Say it politely, though. Remember that. Don't be angry. Just look at them calmly and say, you can go fuck yourself. Right? That's simple. That's how you deal with most people harassing you. Hey, Jason, picked up tendonitis on the long head of the bicep earlier this week, backing off on the volume. Curious if there is any exercises you recommend to rehab strengthen this area. High rep hammer curls, high rep chin ups. Stop doing other forms of curls. Cut your bicep volume down in general. Right? You've overworked it, and once you've done too much bicep work that caused it, it could take months to make it go away. Tendonitis is not good. Since my overhead press goes up whenever my bench goes up, is there a point in me doing overhead press? Also, my delts are not really lagging, but chest is. No, overhead press isn't necessary. And you are right. A lot of guys with big benches have massive overhead presses, even if they don't train the press, particularly if they're good at close grip bench. Would there be any benefits of resting longer sets on 5x10 accessory work in order to do more weight? I heard a study where gains become limited by low rest. I'm going to say probably not if you're doing heavy work first. If you're doing it as back off work, you're probably not going to see a difference in gains. It's going to take you longer. Paul, one of my former clients for a good year. Hey, Jason, how are you doing? For a drug-free lifter over 40 who is cutting, what is the weekly minimum effective volume to retain muscle? Probably 5 to 8 sets per muscle group. Hey, Jason, how do long legs provide an advantage for deadlift? Can't wrap my head around it because of the angles involved. It allows you to use your hamstrings more effectively. Taller, lankier guys are the best deadlifters in the world. It's the reason Thor ended up beating Eddie. Longer legs, longer arms. The reason Kaylor Woolham is a phenomenal deadlifter compared to the rest of us. Short torso, long arms, long legs. Coach, would it be reasonable for a field athlete to do sprints/speed training on any days they're not lifting, or could that interfere with recovery? That's too nuanced to cover in here. It depends on how you program it. Sir, what's the difference between 3x5 and 5x5 workouts? One of them you do 3 sets and the other one you do 5 sets. I'm also currently going through a growth spurt right now. Maybe my height will catch up to my arm length. Yeah, maybe. Is bulking is built, guys, you guys keep asking me that in every one, and I've actually said, I think in every live stream, I haven't actually read or remember the building the monolith. And I know I'm being asked that in every live stream, and one of them I got asked by 3 different people. I don't know. Do you think gym atmosphere matters? My gym is aimed for the older generation, doesn't have the best equipment for lifting. Should I consider moving to a bigger, more commercial gym? Possibly. Equipment matters, I think, more than environment. It's kind of a semi-important text. I'll get back to her. Appreciate the advice. First time I've had tendonitis in a long while. We'll experiment with those exercises. For lagging hamstrings or good mornings, an acceptable exercise for an at-home gym with no GHR. What would you recommend for hamstrings in this substitution? Okay, we come back over to it's not really a substitution because the GHR is kind of unique. Good mornings will build hamstrings. Romanian deadlifts will build hamstrings. Stiff leg deadlifts build hamstrings. Here's the one that everyone forgets. Here's one of the best hamstring builders that everyone forgets. The conventional deadlift. You can build massive hamstrings just by doing high volume conventional deadlifting if it's programmed correctly. So don't forget that. Don't forget that when you're thinking these things through. But, outside of that, any of those other three are all good hamstring builders. How much arm work do we need to get bigger arms? Perhaps a dedicated arm day? No, there's no reason to have a dedicated arm day. Look at some of my guys. Okay, look at my client vlogs. Look at Isaac's arms. He does 5 sets for triceps and 5 sets of curls every week. Okay, he's drug free. That's what he does outside of his big movements. And notice we do those as multi-joint exercises, and he does them after other stuff. Like after pull-ups, he does curls. After benching, he does tricep extensions. Jason, how would you deal with unbalanced legs, both in size and strength? Is single leg work a solution? Don't try to fix imbalances. You are imbalanced inherently. Make sure you have a real imbalance. In other words, if you have a noticeable strength imbalance, maybe isolateral leg work can help, or just doing wider stance squatting and stuff will help. Just keep getting bigger. Clean your form up so you quit side loading it. But keep in mind, if you have balance strength, you're always going to have one arm and one leg that's bigger than the other because our skeletons are not symmetrical. And if you balance out the muscularity for appearance purposes on an asymmetrical skeleton, you may create asymmetric loading that increases your, sorry guys, I burped there, just got done eating, that will actually increase your risk of injuries. May increase your risk of injuries. So unless you're going to be a professional bodybuilder, you need to be very careful about that and not worry about it so much. One of my Orc Warriors opinions on drinks like Red Bull. I mean, the zero sugar and K-Cal versions. I don't know what's in Red Bull. Sorry, brother. I don't know what's in it. I don't have an answer. I've never read the ingredients because I don't really drink a lot of stuff like that. What constitutes good versus bad leverages for overhead press, long arms, short arms? Longer arm guys seem to do really good at the overhead press. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. John, I appreciate the donation, brother. What's your CBD take, Jason? You think it helps or BS things? I think we don't have enough data to know if it helps or not. Maybe it might. There's some potential promising data, but keep in mind, for some reason, everyone who smokes pot has this weird, bizarre obsession with the idea that pot's magical and has magical healing properties, because we have that segment of our population that believe that stuff. They tend to take these things to extremes, and I've seen it to the point to where I've seen a pot smoker try to link me a study showing that CBD had these benefits, and he linked a study, and I read the study, and the study was literally a null hypothesis. It showed no benefit when you looked at the actual data, but he was convinced it was a pro CBD study because he loves weed. You see the problem there? This is the biggest problem for people who love weed. They can't detach their love of it from the reality to look at data. So that makes it kind of difficult. Charles, what's up, brother? Long-term client who had to recently drop out. Charles, tell them how strong we got you down there and what you weigh. Your novice and intermediate off-season programs have done wonders for me, Coach. Thank you. You're welcome. Although I'm going to be honest, the intermediate off-season program, I don't want to take credit. It was just a really, really simple linear periodization program. Like I just made a textbook linear periodization program of 5 exercises. I didn't really invent anything special there. So just an FYI, I don't really deserve that much credit for it. Jason, do you like Brian Ashnew's programs? He's a big advocate of conjugate. I've never read his programs. My understanding is he's a decent source of information, but I haven't read his programs, and I don't follow YouTube Fitness. I haven't for many years now. Do you have nutrition plans? No, I do strength coaching. I do nutrition advice as needed as an informal part of my coaching. It's particularly important for my weight class athletes, but it is not officially part of my coaching. And I do not write meal plans. I'm not a registered dietitian. That would be illegal. So even for those people, I don't write meal plans other than water cut weeks. Like if a lifter says, I need to drop 15 pounds of water for my competition. Then I'll meal plan it out. But even then, it's more of macros and sodium and water intake instead of individual foods. Honestly, I think having overly big biceps are overrated, maybe counterproductive. I don't know that it's counterproductive. Are you still going caffeine free? Yes, currently. I could make you. I don't need it, bro. I would have to hire you and pay you tons of money to do my work every day. Like that doesn't make sense. My spreadsheets work great. I make $100,000 a year on coaching pretty much with the way I do my spreadsheets now. Why do I need to fix it? And why should I lose money hiring someone to do my spreadsheets? And what if you're a day late? Then my clients are completely fucked. You see the problem there? One of my orc warriors, you think 3-day 5-3-1 is better than 4-day with the extra bench over rest days? I'm cutting now, so maybe switch to 3. I like the squat bench deadlift days, honestly. Yep, there's Charles's numbers, and we have videos of all that. He just put up 505 squat, 325 bench, 565 deadlift, pain free, hovering between 170, 180 pounds. That's what we did over the course of about 2.5 years. While McDonald's has said you can keep nearly all of your muscle on a very aggressive diet as long as protein intake is very high and heavy resistance training is present, seems too good to be true. I don't know that that's fully true. I think you can retain a large amount of it. And I like Lyle. Let me phrase that. I don't like Lyle as a person. I think he is absurdly intelligent, though, and absurdly knowledgeable. So, I mean, he may be right to some extent, but I don't know about very aggressive cuts. All right, guys, quit asking me about other YouTubers. Jeremy Ether is very popular and somehow has no muscle mass. I don't know. I don't get it. He trains his biceps or something, and that's it. Any advice for bringing up weak hamstring tendons? I have several minor pulls, no GHR. All right. If you have pulled multiple hamstrings, you need to get a GHR. It's not optional. There is no excuse. You find a way to get a GHR. Clear out a corner of your room. Buy one, get one. It will fix it. Jason, I have read recently that most melatonin supplements are highly overdosed. 1 to 10 milligrams and no more than 0.5 is needed to reap benefits. Thoughts on this? Doesn't matter because studies show that melatonin is safe at up to 50 milligrams a day and non-addictive. So who cares if it's overdosed? All right, these are getting buried a little bit. What are your jigsaw mats? They're Eva foam. They're rated to hold 700 pounds without depressing. Lyle McDonald is a genius. I would agree with that. Lyle is an asshole, but he is a genius. Like those are not. How do we put this? Those can be statements that are concurrently true. Lyle is a fucking asshole, but he is a genius, and I think that's a fair statement. Advice on how to program deadlifts back into my routine after 3 years of no deadlifting. Start doing light deadlifts again. No more. I haven't had the +5 head of weaponsmithing on in years. Right? Okay, so when you ask that, it's like saying, no more President Trump. I'm sorry, no more President Obama. Like, that's how silly that sounds, bro. Come on. That's like going back and reminiscing about before we had the first lockdowns. I remember before anyone wore a mask in public. That's where you're at. The +5 hat of weaponsmithing will never, ever, ever be returning again. Thoughts on kilo competition plates versus pound plates? I honestly wish I had bought all kilo plates because I have to put all my attempts in kilos in competition. Alan, appreciate the donation. Why do you say that stretching doesn't work? What should I do instead? Full range of motion, squatting and stuff. Hi, I'm 14 years old and got a pair of dumbbells using my pocket money and was wondering if you can recommend me any beginner programs using them. I'm really skinny if it matters, but anything helps. Just learn basic movements. Just do some high reps on basic movements, work your whole body, do some one-legged split squats and some dumbbell squats. Uh, you could do stiff leg or Romanian deadlifts with them. You can do floor presses. You can do rows. You can do curls. Just make sure you do balanced programming and eat. 14. Eat, eat, eat. And then when you can get under a real barbell, read and learn good form. Hey, coach, I know the data on cold therapy says it's not beneficial. No, it actually hurts recovery, is what the data says. But when I do them, I literally feel like a new man afterwards. Why could this be? It's called placebo effect. Hey, Jason, Louis Simmons seems big on training speed, dynamic effort on separate days for max effort, while Wendler has no issue with mixing speed and strength with 5-3-1 days. Thoughts? I don't program speed work on any of my 5-3-1 type clients. I think that they should be separated if you want to make the best of it and win. And winning agrees also. Hey, Jason, is homesteading good fitness? I think it'd be a good way to prepare. What do you mean? Homesteading good fitness? You're going to have to explain that better. Thank God Q&As are back. Well, not really. I'm using the live streams for them, and these are way easier to do. Doing a live stream takes 10% of the work that a Q&A does. It's way easier. And it's more profitable. It makes more money. People enjoy it more, and it's less work. I think we have a win here. Do you think flat dumbbell press is a good exercise for bringing up the flat barbell bench if weak in the mid-range? I think it's good if you're weak near the bottom, possibly the mid-range. I don't know that it would be my fix for mid-range. I might lean more in the direction of decline benching or floor press. But if you're weaker out of the bottom, definitely. Yeah, we don't want to talk about the evil doctor. Like, I really would like to live my life like he doesn't exist and not talk about him so that I don't have to focus on negative things like that. Because the guy really did try to ruin my life. I mean, he did say on a video that he would pour gas to watch me fucking burn. Those were his exact words. And the guy spent $500,000 trying to do it. So, I don't want to go into that. Let's not discuss him. Could you replace the overhead press day? John, how about you just have a bench day with no overhead press day at all? I mean, look at how my squat, bench, deadlift day guys are doing. Look how big and strong they're getting. Even I switched over to that. I mean, that's an option. If you don't want to overhead press, do all your pressing on bench day. Hey, coach, why don't you ever respond to the, I don't know what you're talking about. There are no Farmington, New Mexico allegations. I lived there until I was 17 for 3 years, and we moved back to Houston when my dad got a new job. Not a new job, he got transferred back for work, the same company that transferred us there with a massive raise. So I don't understand what you mean by an allegation. Did I live in Farmington? Yes. Daniel, I appreciate the donation, brother. What should a skinny fat focus on? Slow bulking. Homesteading is the raising of animals and crops. Think you can make us more self-sufficient, less reliant on the system? It won't make you fully self-sufficient off the system, bro. You're not going to want to live off grid, trust me. And you're never going to be self-sufficient. It's not a bad thing if you want to raise animals and crops, though, right? It's not a bad thing. And if that makes you happy, then go ahead. You're not going to be self-sufficient doing it, and it's not going to make you more fit. Do you consider Alex a Ritalin addict? I have no idea. I vaguely remember something about Ritalin. Guys, stop asking me about other YouTubers. You guys know I don't watch them. I haven't watched YouTubers in like 3 years other than Postmodern Jukebox and music stuff. I don't watch YouTube fitness. These people don't exist in my world anymore. Hey, Jason, what's the difference between powerlifting and power building? Don't really plan on competing. We enjoy the lifting in the big 3 compounds. Power building is a trendy term for training like a power lifter, but not competing. That's literally the only difference. Power lifting is a form of competition in which you test the max squat, bench, and deadlift in a formal competition. Power building is just basically running powerlifting routines. All when you look at any power building program, it just looks like the stuff powerlifters do, other than that you don't get on the platform and compete. It's the same thing. And anyone who thinks that powerlifters aren't just as big as bodybuilders has never been to a powerlifting meet. Is Swolefester still a good dude? I couldn't tell you because I haven't watched YouTube Fitness in at least 3 years. So I don't know what he's doing. He could have turned into an amazing saintly person. He could be literally Hitler right now. How would I know? You'd have to go watch his channel and see. Was starting to have a body image disorder, but then switched to getting strong for BJJ, and now I have no problems. All because I discovered your channel. I appreciate that, brother, and I'm glad I was able to help you. Muscle clean versus push press for power in combat sports. I would probably lean more in the direction of muscle cleans, but you need to make sure that you're good on your other basics like squatting and stuff. Jason, would you say powerlifting is more brute strength than strongman? Powerlifting is nothing more than a test of brute strength relative to your weight. That's what it is. It is a pure attribute of strength. And people who say, oh, that's not what it tests or this and that, that's excuses weak people make. It is just a test of brute strength with a certain amount of skill component and a certain amount of tactics, like you guys saw me doing, with the approach that I use at this meet where I just broke the Texas state records this last week. So strong man has more of a endurance and GPP component. It has a more athletic component, not just pure strength. If that makes sense. So if you were to put it into gamer stats, Juggernaut Gaming TV, okay, gamer stats, powerlifting is a strength check. Strongman is a strength check and a constitution check combined together, right? Put it in gamer stats for you. Jason, imagine how cool it would be if a celebrity like Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth hired you as a coach. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I suppose it would be cool. I guess they would pay me a lot. What's a good way for someone to learn a hip hinge? You have to learn to push your hips back. Here's what I tell clients. Push your ass back like a stripper whose rent is due tomorrow. Okay, that is what you need to visualize. When you learn to hip hinge, you have to push your hips and ass back with no rounding of your back. Is there any decent prize money yet in top level powerlifting? Actually, yeah, USPA is putting up prize money now. They gave prize money away at this event I was at. It wasn't a lot, but they gave away something like $2,500 in prize money. It was only to the bigger classes. Jason, would someone notice much faster progress between bulking 1 pound versus 2 pounds a month if you're already advanced? You would see a slight difference. I'll be honest with you though. If you're an advanced lifter already with the sort of numbers you're discussing there, it's going to be very, very minimal. I'm going to lean in the direction of you bulking about 1 pound a month. Like Charles, who just posted up, we used to do 1 pound a month bulks, and we got him in the mid 170s to over a 500 pound squat. Jason, is swimming good exercise? How can I fit it into a lifting routine? Work it into your cardio. Swimming is great cardio. It's great cardio. Extremely good. One of my orc warriors. Hey, Jason, I snapped my lower back a few years ago on deadlifts. I recovered from it, but I still feel it when I deadlift. I can't help you with that. That's the consultation level stuff. Right? That's consultation level stuff. I can't give you advice on that without enormous amounts of information. Enormous amounts of it, because snapped doesn't sound good. If you hurt yourself deadlifting, there's a major problem. Like, you should never injure your back deadlifting. Something was really, 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 really wrong. So when you say snapped, that's not an official diagnosis. Did you herniate a disc? Did you strain an erector? Did you break your back? And so I can't help you there. Like, again, definitely not in a chat like this. So, but unless you have structural damage, it should be 100% rehabable. All right. Unless you have disc damage, There is no soft tissue damage from a deadlift that cannot be rehab 100% and still deadlift over 500 pounds. I have one client who has two herniated discs who deadlifts over 500 pounds. And I've seen the MRIs. He's got fluid squirting out of the disc, and he hurt himself in college. And we've got him deadlifting over 500 pain-free now, but that took a lot of work. But barring something like that, you need to just build the soft tissue back up. But if you don't know if there's damage or not, then, I can't really help you, unfortunately. If you eat at maintenance of your goal weight, would that be a viable way to drop or gain weight, albeit slowly? No, not really. Why don't you just be in a surplus or deficit based upon how much weight you want to gain or lose? You're overcomplicating it. You're overcomplicating the most simple concept in the world of energy balance. Why make things harder for yourself? You think powerlifting will replace Olympic lifting, the Olympics, since it got dropped? I don't know how to feel about that. I absolutely do not want to see powerlifting in the Olympics. And it's not going to happen. Okay. They dropped a strength sport due to excessive doping problems, and they're not going to replace it with a new strength sport with excessive doping problems. Like that's not going to happen. Evelina, I don't know what CSAT is. You guys have to tell me what these things are. You can't just assume, hey, have you ever been? I don't know what that is. Are squats and deadlifts enough for training the lower body on a novice lifter? Potentially. I think you need a little more stuff. You can build a hell of a base though. Jason, how do the people in the 148 to 168 class get strong? They have to maintain a light body weight. They bulk and cut like everyone else. Also, they're really short. Okay. If you're competing in those weight classes successfully, you're short and lean. Average height people will not win in those classes. And those people still have to bulk and cut. That's what you're not grasping. You've got to bulk and cut to gain muscle. Now, keep in mind, if you weigh 150 pounds, your bulks and cuts might only be 6 pounds. But you're not going to sit there and recomp at 150 and keep gaining strength. They're going up and down. Are strength standard charts a good way to gauge if we are novice, intermediate, advanced, or are they too low of numbers? No, I think the strength standard charts are reasonable. Oh, Juggernaut, I don't get to pick my curtain colors. The Homeowners Association tells us which colors. And when I changed them once, they threw a fit. CSAT, Paul Howes. I don't know who Paul Howell is either. Why are we asking non-training questions? Guys, this is a strength and conditioning channel. Powerlifting has bigger drug problems than weightlifting, so that will never happen. No, they're equal. Everyone winning is on drugs in both sports. Everybody, no exceptions. The amount is the same. Jason, I just wanted to say thank you for your indirect coaching on how to be a competent coach and trainer. You're most welcome, bro. And, I'm glad I'm able to help people with that. I get that a lot on the channel. A lot of people who come in these chats have said, hey, I'm 3 years into my exercise science degree. And in this live stream, I've learned things I didn't even know. I've learned things off your channel that, is completely supported by the textbook or stuff that someone I know is doing their PhD work on. Same thing with coaches and trainers. A lot of people who I've even befriended on social media who run their own gyms and stuff, who follow my channel for years, have done the same thing. So I'm glad I'm able to help people, in their profession, right? Because that's what I do. I love strength and I want to make everyone stronger. And if I can teach people to be better coaches and trainers, then I'm going to have a further reach in making people stronger than what's just on my channel. So, for me, that really achieves my end goal, is to just get everyone stronger. Hello, Lacey. Yep, you finally dropped in and made it to one. Why does your chair look bouncy? Evelina, I'm about to ban you, your stupid ass. Why do you keep asking me questions not related to training? You're going to have to go. Okay. Last warning. Do you like the vertical diet? It's great for bulking. I got up to the 245 on it before this cut. And I'm assuming you guys all saw the water cut pictures that I took every few hours all the way down, and then made my 198, and then was 220 before the meet even started and stepped on the scale. That's on my Instagram, by the way. But vertical diet's great for bulking. I don't know that it's good for anything else, though, to be honest with you. Oh, Jubes, thank you for joining the Orc Army. By bulking, how much do you mean? I am 5'7", Lonnie, but I'm like 25% body fat. And I'd rather be one. Well, 5'7", you're not going to compete at 148. All right. If you think that you're going to compete at 148 at 5'7", you need to go ahead and consider talking to an eating disorder specialist now, because you're going to be anorexic. You're going to have to become an anorexic to do that. So if you want to get to a lighter body weight and you're too fat, then cut down. All right. Cut down to 170, right? You're 190 now. You don't know that you're 25% body fat. I want to see a DEXA scan before you tell me that you're 25%. Cut to 170 and then slow bulk back up. But at 5'7", that is not your ideal height class. When I say short, I don't mean 2 inches below average, unless you're lying about 5'7", like Kai Green does. Kai Green's like 5'4". I've met him. He like comes up to here on me. Like he doesn't even reach the top of his head doesn't even reach my mouth. You know, talking about I'm 5'7". Like, dude, you're like 5'3", 5'4", 5'2". So unless you're like that, then you're not going to compete successfully at those body weights. You're going to want to be about 170, 175 when you're filled out as a long term, right? That's where you need to be if you want to be successful in powerlifting. On 531, would you say single joint movement should be done in addition to supplemental work like dips and dumbbell rows, or just left out? I don't think we need to do many single joint movements. You shouldn't need in your entire routine more than 1 to 2 total single joint movements, and only for specific weak points. Overuse of them causes overuse injuries, and they don't gain as much muscle. If you have a really severe lagging weak point, that's the only time it makes sense to do a true single joint exercise. It just doesn't make sense otherwise. It's bad training economy, bad for inflammation, everything else. I remember you saying that dips aren't for everyone, since some people get sternal pain and potentially crack their sternum. I don't really get pain in the sternum, but rather discomfort. Is that okay? Yeah, if you get discomfort in your shoulders or your sternum, just skip them. Dips are a great exercise, but they're not essential. Any exercise superior to Roman chair for midsection? Probably not. I'm going to say, well, hanging leg raises in general are going to be king. Weighted planks aren't bad, though. As a late novice, if your back squat is plateaued, but you manage to continue to improve on Bulgarian split squats and good mornings, does it eventually cause your back squat strength to come up? In theory, but you need to keep working your back squat. Okay, you need to keep working your back squat. And I would ask the questions of, are you eating enough to gain muscle? Are you sleeping enough? Is your programming good? You need to focus on those things, because you can get your squat as a late novice. In theory, you can keep bringing your squat up by doing nothing but squatting, if those other things are on point. This other stuff is icing on the cake. Are you supposed to lose reps for the peak heavy sets on 531? The 655, blah, 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 have me hitting a little when I could probably do 8+. Yeah, they're going to fatigue you some. Lacey asks, what do you think of the booty gains so far? Actually, your booty gains have come along pretty well. They have come along. I'm not going to lie. Not that I'm checking your butt out, but I have noticed in your pictures they have come along. I know you're anti-vegan. That's an understatement. But what about, that's like saying Christians are anti-Satan, right? That's like saying Hitler didn't like Jews. You know, do you see where we're going with this? I am beyond anti-vegan. I literally hate veganism and think it should be exterminated. So, and I've made that very clear. It is a deadly, dangerous cult that hurts people. Now, I'm going to look at your question. I know you're anti-vegan, but what about the high-profile plant-based doctors who champion it? They're evil, they're hurting people, and they need to be stopped. That's what I think of those doctors. Squat with a relatively narrow stance. I want to widen my stance with box squats. Do I need a box or can I use a bench if I make sure it's not moving backwards? No, you can't use a bench on the box squat. It's too tall. Unless you're at least 6'5" to 6'6". Bare minimum. I'm not answering questions about my personal life, Joe. In fact, Joe, your ass is banned. Let's just get rid of you. You can go away. All right. I'm 6'2" with long femurs. Any recommendations on squat and deadlift? Yeah, you need a wide stance squat to remove that leverage disadvantage. You need to learn to squat as wide as you possibly can while still hitting depth. For deadlift, if you have long femurs, you probably need to do conventional. Probably need to do conventional. What's better, the 45-degree back extension or the 90 degrees the way Olympic lifters do them? Olympic lifters do them both ways. It's just different exercises. So you'd recommend the 165 class for me at 5'7"? Yeah, you need to be 175 and water cut to the 165. So you need to walk around at 175 until 24 hours before weigh-in. I'm at the point where I want to be educated on the conjugate method. Is there a single book that you can recommend or an aggregate of books? Yes, buy all the West Side books and look into everything that Matt Winning has to say. Big Al, when I'm talking about veganism, yeah, veganism is an evil, dangerous cult. It absolutely is. And I have no tolerance for it. It is harmful. It hurts people. It harms people. I know multiple people, friends of mine, who have lifelong health problems as a result of being vegan for years. Okay, because they were conned into it. It's just as bad as people out there promoting cigarettes and things. Okay, it's evil. All right. Hello, Jason. For 531, is there a sweet spot for how many reps you should be getting in the plus sets? As in, judge if your training max is set as too high or too low. If you're getting 4 to 5 reps more than the prescribed thing, it's time to increase the weight. If you're only hitting the 531, it's too heavy. So if on your 531 days you literally get 5, 3, and 1, and that's all you can get, your training max is actually too heavy. If you're hitting 10 on the 5 day, if you're hitting 5 on the 1 day, you need to increase it. And I think that's a good rule to follow. On a serious note, what do you think of doing close to 1 rep max on 531 for someone who enjoys maxes? I don't think you should. I don't think you should at all. I think you need to save that for competition. I don't think we should be doing true maxes unless there's a medal or a record on the line. I broke records this last week without maxing out, by the way. Okay, I did weights that I've been done 4 and 5 reps with and still broke Texas state records. I didn't even max out. So we come into the question of, if you don't need to max out, why max out? Like, if there's not a record or a medal or some qualifier on the line, why put that last 20 pounds on the bar? What's the point? It's not going to make you stronger to go above 90%. You gain the exact same amount of strength at 90 to 92% of your 1 rep max from a training perspective as if you did a true max. All you're doing is beating yourself up. Jay, one of my clients, actually, hey coach, if I have a 34-inch vertical now, how much realistic do you think it can be improved upon 2 to 3 inches in your lifetime? Vertical's genetic, and Jay, you already know you have good genetics. I've told you this as a client. So does it mean a 5'9" guy like me should aim to full out on the 183 class? Bro, at I'm 5'9". You just saw me cut down for the 90 kilo, the 198. $181, you're going to need to be shredded at 5'9" to be competitive. Like I'm talking 8% body fat. You can't do that. You need to do the 198. That's where you're going to be most competitive. A lot of 5'9" guys do real well in the 220. Okay? A lot of guys at the world level in the 220 are about 5'9". All right, let me see if there's any other good questions before I wind this down. Zeller, one of my Orc Warriors, since he's a member of the channel, we'll get to him. Thoughts on using a Fitbit to get a rough estimate of sleep tracking. Fitbits aren't reliable. They're not really reliable for tracking much of anything. They're an expensive gadget. Let me see. All right. I think that's all the good questions. We've hit an hour, and I do need to get back to client work because I said I wanted to take a break. I was a little burned out after spending the last 5 hours typing on spreadsheets and looking at videos. So I wanted a break. I thought I'd do a quick one of these. So I'm going to wind this down. I appreciate those of you who asked decent questions. And I love you guys. So I hope this has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.